Hi there. Everyone is talking short-term rentals, long-term rentals, Airbnb, do I keep a tenant? So many questions. Are short-term rentals really a good investment? We're going to talk about it on this episode. Let's go. Hi, I'm Noelle Randall, real estate entrepreneur, mentor, and mom of 5. And in this episode, we are covering some key things on are short-term rentals really a good investment? We're going to talk 1, short-term versus long-term rentals. What's the real numbers? What's the money really look like on both? Number 2, how much does it cost for a short-term rental versus a long-term rental? Is there a difference? Is one more expensive than the other? Let's talk about it. And number 3, we're going to talk about how to use all of the resources. I'm going to give you some resources, some tools, and some things so that you actually can make money and make a good investment out of your short-term rental, or find out if it's not even worth it. All right, so let's dive in. What is a short-term rental versus a long-term rental? And are short-term rentals a good investment? Well, in order to know if it's a good investment, you got to really kind of understand. So I'm going to take a quick second and just explain it to you. A short-term rental is a Airbnb, or it's a booking.com. It's a vacation rental property. It's a property that you use for short-term rentals, people that are going to book for just 1 night or 3 nights or 5 nights. In all cases, the property is furnished and the property has all of the amenities of a hotel or a vacation rental property. So it has everything that a person would need to be on vacation or to travel. It must have everything in order for this to really work. And there is a cost involved with getting all of those things. On the other hand, we have a long-term rental. We have just a property that you have, you put it on your websites and people can rent it for 1 year or 2 years and they stay there. They move all of their stuff into the property and you just collect rent. Which one is easier to deal with? So we have short term where people are coming in and out and you have to furnish the property. You have to have towels and sheets and plates and pots. And then on the other hand, we have a long-term rental with a tenant that's going to be there for 1 year or 2 years and they pay per month. So every first or the third of the month, you get a check. Which one of these two things is better? Well, I'm here to tell you. I have been a long-term rental property owner, a landlord for many, many years. At one point, I had over 42 rental properties. Now I have transitioned pretty much all of my inventory, all of my portfolio to short-term rentals. So that's pretty much going to let you know the answer to that question. But let me break down the numbers for you as to why the short-term rentals are a good investment and why I seem to be making more money than I was making with long-term rentals. So with the long-term rental model, like I said, the property is completely empty. You have a refrigerator, you have a stove, but not much else. You don't leave televisions and couches in those properties, okay? And you put those ads out maybe on Craigslist or Zillow or, with different rental property management companies, and you find a tenant who wants to stay there for 1 year or 2 years. In fact, when I did property management and I was trying to keep people in my properties for 2 and 3 years, literally, that's how I actually would make more than other people with my rental properties. But man, let me tell you, short-term rentals are where it's at. Instead of charging for a whole month and I'm charging, $1,500 or $2,000 for the month, I charge by the night when it comes to my short-term rentals, and I am making way more money even with the cost to furnish the properties. And we're going to break that down. So the question that you had, is this a good investment? I'm going to tell you the answer for me is yes. And I'm going to tell you why. When it comes to short-term rentals versus long-term rentals, we already know you have to furnish the property, you have to equip the property, and that has a cost that comes with it. So with short-term rentals, you have to think about the money that you're going to spend furnishing the property and fully equipping the property with the appliances, the silverware, the pots, the plates, and all of the amenities that people would need for travel. Now, many of those things are super inexpensive. In fact, I'm going to teach you how to get so much of those things on the cheap, many of them even from the dollar store. In fact, I actually have a link to a video here showing you how to do that. So Here's the thing. Most people think, oh my gosh, a short-term rental is going to cost me so much money because I have to do all of these things. I have to get all this furniture for it. I have to get all this stuff. And the key to it is actually that part is not that expensive, and you really make that money up pretty quickly by charging per night versus charging for the month. Let me give you a quick breakdown. So with a regular rental property, on average, you have a mortgage. Let's just use round numbers. Let's say your mortgage on your property is $1,000 a month for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Now, in most cases, people are going to rent that property for like $1,250 or $1,300. The money, the cash flow on most rental properties is really just not that much, okay? In many cases, I think the average was like $300 per month. But you are gaining equity in the property because as those people are paying the lease, they're paying down your mortgage and the property value is rising. So as a real estate investor, I'm always going to teach you the business of it. Owning property is a good idea in the long term because you have appreciation of the property, you're building equity, and we have what's called leveraged appreciation where the tenant is paying for the mortgage. You don't really have that expense, and then you are making a small profit, and the property is going up in value. So let's take that concept and let's multiply it with short-term rentals. So like I said, you're already making money on the property is going up in value, they're paying down the mortgage. So why not make even more money per month than less? And when you have a tenant that's staying there for a year or 2 years, they have what's called market rent. They're going to look and see what properties are going for by the month in your area, and that's what you're going to charge. But the great thing, and here is the great thing, oh my gosh, the secret of Airbnb is it's really more of a competition with hotels. So you really need to do your research and see what hotels are getting per night, not what properties rent for per month. And this is the key, ladies and gentlemen. So on average, I think the average hotel in America is like $133 per night. Let's just use that as an example. And you times that by 20, 25 nights per month, okay? That's not even full occupancy. That's not even having someone book your property every single night. So you can quickly see how much more profitable it is renting the property per night on an average of $133 per night, which is what hotels charge, versus for a whole month competing with other rental properties. Number 3, short-term rentals are exploding. The demand for how people travel, how people work. Oh my gosh, 2020 is like the year of the millennial, I guess. They are just traveling. They're working in the gig economy. Many of them are traveling with friends and as groups. We have bigger families traveling together. And so there are so many websites dedicated to the short-term rental market. And so it's a good investment because there are more and more outlets for you to list your property, and people are taking less and less of a cut. So the more websites there are where you can list your property, and that competition kind of ups itself with Airbnb, Booking.com, vacation rental by owner, all of these different. Turnkey is another one. The list goes on. There's not saying there's just hundreds, but there's more than one, okay? And they are competing with one another for your properties. So many of them are lowering their fees, and more of it is coming to you. It's an awesome thing. You need to decide if you are going to own a couple or if you are going all the way with this thing. That really makes a difference. So when we're talking about if something is a good investment, Noel has a saying, 1 and 2 properties is a headache, 10 is a business. Because having 1 or 2 rental properties is just a lot of running around, especially if you're managing it yourself. You're probably not making a lot of money, and so it's probably just not that great of an investment for you, especially when we're talking about a regular tenant staying there for a year or 2 and you're only making $200 or $300 a month. But let's change the game a little bit when we talk about short-term investments. You literally can have less than 10 properties, in many cases 5 or 6, and be making a 6-figure salary from this, okay? 6-figure income. You can literally have 5 or 6 properties and make a 6-figure income with short-term rentals versus with long-term rentals. The numbers are just so much different that the profitability on the short-term rentals are usually so much better than with the long-term rentals, especially when you scale it and you have multiple properties. So the key to making this a good investment in any case is not to have onesie-twosies. You're really gonna wanna go for a full business and try to get as many properties as you can. And my recommendation is somewhere in the range of at least 6 properties, okay? as your goal. Now, again, I'm not telling you to run out and go buy 6 properties or get 6 Airbnbs immediately, but know that you don't want just 1 or 2. You really want to make a business out of this, and you really want to get it to the point where you have at least 6 properties and you're going from there so that you can have some real income. All right, guys, hopefully that wraps it up, and you know now, you are confident about if short-term rentals are a good investment for you. I've given you the information that you need. I'm gonna keep giving it to you, and I want you to go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm giving you great content, free information. I'm really trying to give you a free course right here so that you can be successful in this business to your success.